Yeah, so it's about fixing stuff today. Put out my last video and I didn't think much of it at the time. Sometimes you're just not feeling it color-wise, and I wasn't, so I slapped on a quick grade, by hand and put it out and didn't think much of it. Looking at it now, I'm not happy with it. I think it looks pretty gross. I feel like I'm looking a lot like Data from Star Trek, the android. Yeah, it's the skin. There's something going on with the skin. It's pretty gross. Let me try to fix it today. I usually shoot on my Blackmagic camera, which is what this is. There you go. There's my Blackmagic. I didn't this time, mostly because it's a whole thing to set up the Blackmagic camera, and so I just didn't feel like doing that. I just used my Panasonic GX8, which is a consumer camera. It's basically a Panasonic GH4, but it doesn't have a log profile. You got to pick a color, and I used natural profile, so like outdoor, basically. I usually use portrait because I think the skin tones look better in portrait, but I felt like using natural, and then I just didn't think much of it, and then I just sort of wandered through it. And I remember thinking at the time, this doesn't look great, but the more I looked at it, the more I was okay with it. That's the trap. I don't like how it looks now, especially compared to, put them side by side, a decent versus what I'm doing. And yeah, they're noticeably different. Although this is different. This is weird in its own way just because of how I lit it. But this, I feel like I've got hot dog skin, or, like something like I think the riff last night when I was trying this bit was, I said I was Hulk Hogan's Gen Z drug dealer. I think that was yeah. So that was a pre-written. That joke doesn't count. Yeah, so let me try to walk you through what my thought process was and what happened, and see if I can fix it. I tried to do this video last night and it just sort of got away from me, and I got frustrated, and then I mumbled to myself, and I have an hour and 45 of just me mumbling to myself. And even though, it looks great because it's coming out of Blackmagic, I wouldn't call it cinematic. I would call it boring as shit. So let's try to figure out what's going on here. So this is what I got out of camera. I intentionally overexposed it, exposed to the right kind of thing, just because I was already using a baked-in profile, so I wanted to give myself as much of a chance to get decent colors as possible. So I did that. Let me turn off everything else, and I'll show you what I did. So I knew I was going to have to bring the exposure down. Not a big deal, no big deal. So first thing I did was actually do my color space transform. Even though it's baked in, I still like to work in DaVinci wide gamut. So even for Rec 709 stuff like this, I usually do a color space transform in, a color space transform out, and then maybe something on the end of it. So I did that. I did a color space transform, Rec 709 to DaVinci wide, and then I did all my work, and then I did a transform out, DaVinci wide to, and I did Blackmagic, my other camera, just because I like to sometimes throw on a look. Typically my look that I like to throw on, if I'm just in a hurry and I know I like it, is the Red Dragon Rec 709 look. We'll do exposure changes to show you. It looks terrifying with this footage, so we didn't do that. We backed off, and I think the other one I tried was Panasonic GH4 Vlog L, which is not what it was, but I figured Panasonic colors are Panasonic colors. And also terrifying. Different, but also terrifying. So I ended up just not doing anything, just did a regular Rec 709. So I could have set the output color space back to Rec 709, and would have done the same thing as going from Blackmagic to apply Rec 709, but it doesn't matter for the sake of this. The only other node you need to worry about is this one right here is just my grab the skin tones node that's on the end. I use that sometimes. So basically I got the colors, was overexposed, fixed the exposure, and then I was like, well, I don't like this, but I do want to go ahead and do my overlay. I like to do overlay. I'll show you the effect in the other thing because it's better. Composite mode overlay. Yeah, okay, so say this is your image and you wanna make it a little more contrasty, a little more color dense, even though there's a bunch of color density tools. I still like to do overlay. And then usually I set it to about 20%, so you can set it to more. Here's 40%. Yeah, so it's doing a weird thing because of how I lit this one, but you know, you are getting more something. I'm getting freckles in my image, which I do have freckles on my face, but I'm so fair skinned that you don't usually see them. Yeah, so there's without the overlay, there's with the overlay, super cooked. So I usually do 20%. As I said, it's something I like to do. Yeah, so let's go back to the other one. There we go. So I did an overlay, 20% as I recall, and I think I did another adjustment too. Yeah, I pushed it blue. So basically, I was looking at my skin tones, got the vector scope, and I didn't like where my skin tones were. 20.36, okay. They were right on the line, which in context I don't hate, but I think I was just not feeling the fact that I have hot dog skin. So I was like, well, let's see if we can push things yellow and make, yeah, so we go 20.5, yep. 20.5, I did that wrong, there we go. So I did too many things on that note already, but it's basically, you know, the environment's a little bit more yellow-green, but also it didn't really help my skin tone on my face. It just looks creepy now instead of just weird. So, but I kept going. So I was like, well, it seems too crispy now, but I don't want to get rid of the overlay I have. Again, it's already a baked-in look, so the idea that I did an overlay to sort of juice up the footage was probably not necessary, but I juiced it, and then I was like, well, I want to make it a little more filmic, so I'm going to lower the contrast. So that's just a contrast adjustment, 0.8. So, you know, full overlay, full look, and then a little bit of a contrast adjustment to sort of take the edge off of it, which I hope would take the edge off the skin, which I guess it does, but kind of make everything milky. But yeah, and then this is just, you know, fixing the darks a little bit. So that was the look. I got ugly hot dog of it, skin of it all, just not great. Yeah, so let's try to fix this. I think I just want to start deleting nodes. So let's just delete that, delete that, delete that. I do want to do my exposure adjustment. Yeah, so let's focus on hot dog skin, and then we'll focus on contrast because the hot dog skin is what's driving me crazy. The obvious way to do it is to go into color slice, select skin, which you can do here, and then just change the hue of it. I actually don't, because I'm in a color space transform, it's just going to look like it's in log, so I'll do this instead. And we'll just change the hue, we'll move it a little bit more red, I think. And then we're going to bring down the saturation just because it's spooky dooky. And maybe we could do a little bit of color density, but I don't know how much. Yeah, it just makes me look like an old man. So here's full color density, just so we're clear. It looks creepy. Wait, it's overcooked. So, so we get rid of the color density and then maybe just do a little bit of, yeah, if we go one way, it goes, yeah, whatever. I'd say that's an improvement. I feel like I'm looking a little pale now, so maybe we'll bring a little bit back in like that. I don't know, there's just something going on. And also I notice with my Panasonic especially, I get like, I'm pale except for right around the skin around my eyes. I get like, the Panasonic makes me have like orange raccoon eyes. This isn't helping my case, and the weird eyeball thing's not helping my case, but yeah, it's a little bit of that. So let's see, we'll go back to rate of saturation. Let's see if any of the, yeah, see that if you color density it, look how raccoony my eyes get. So that's not great. Yeah, so let's bring saturation down a little bit. Oh, that's too far. Yeah, maybe a little bit of, I don't know. Is it a perfect solution? I don't know. I'm definitely giving off sort of a smoked too much kind of vibe, but that's not a far cry from what I'm normally at. So we'll call that a look. We'll do the eyes. There we go. We'll call that a look. And call this slice. So what's another way to do it? Hue versus sat. This is the one I would prefer to do. So hue versus sat. We'll do hue versus hue and hue versus sat. So let's fix the hue first. I don't necessarily like how tight that is, but for what we're doing, it might be okay. We will do a little bit that way. I don't hate that. And then saturation. Let's look at the whole image and try to back the saturation down just a little bit. And as long as it's not affecting, yeah, it's not affecting red very much, so that's fine. So we could probably do whatever we want. Something like that. Just a little less intense. I don't hate that. And as a matter of fact, I bet I could do my overlay trick now and it would be pretty decent. All right, and we'll call it 0.2. I think that's an improvement. It's still not perfect. I mean, compared to yeah. Comparing these two, it's not perfect, but I think it's interesting. Maybe that. I like a little bit more contrast in my image. I'll say that. So, and the part of this is usually my environment. This wall behind me is actually the yellow that it's supposed to be, but I was going for a daylight sort of through the windows look, so it's not quite as yellow as it is normally. Although if you look in the sort of like where this white light behind me is not hitting, it's yellow, but it's not yellow like this. So that's part of it. So yeah, I think it's just all things are making me look a little more weird. Let me bring down my sat just a little bit more. You don't want to go too far because then you look like you're dead. I don't know. Is it a perfect solution? No. Do I still feel like I have too much color in my skin? Kinda, yeah, but I feel like there's not a lot of color separation. There's a lot of color separation in this image. You can actually see the yellow light from my rim light hitting my face in this one. Whereas, you know, obviously one light is hitting me, and then I actually have a shoulder light that's a very cold white. It's almost blue, which is why it looks like white here, but then outside of in like the shadow of this, it's actually yellow again. Yeah, so I don't know if that's an improvement, but we're gonna call that HVS, hue versus sat. All right, is there any other way for me to do this? Because I would really like to. We're gonna label this overlay so I don't forget. The cheater way is this, and I probably would have done this if I was really paying attention, but as far as color matching reasons, this is not to do it, but this is just how I would do it if this was the only shot, which it is in this case. I would just push some sort of incandescent, some daylight into, or not incandescent, so yeah, some daylight, some not first of all, we'll do linear gamma because otherwise it's too touchy, but we're gonna do incandescent, so not daylight. So we're gonna do amber push amber into the image. It's a little intense, but we'll do I don't want to do a key. You know, we'll do luma versus sat, and face is the mid, and then that's the high. Okay, so everything below this line can be less saturated. Oh, that was dumb. Let's not do that. Yeah, we'll just do a key. We'll do a messy key, even though the whole thing is I don't like keys. Luminance, and then we'll do, this is the top, and high, very soft, and then low. Nope, I did it backwards. I do low, soft. So high, max, low, very soft. And then we'll move it down. Yeah, I don't even know that that's an improvement. The other way to do it is just to cheat and do the artificial. I don't like that though. We could walk back some yellow and then walk back a little bit of, push up a little bit to get rid of some of that green. Yeah, I buy that more. So there's your gold environment. So, then we'll just do this, is the selected still images about. All right, so let's look at this. Top left is our starting image. I don't hate it. I hate it, but I don't hate it. I think it's because the wall looks weird. I think that's really what it is. This is the color slice, which honestly looks pretty decent, I have to say. This is the hue versus sat and the hue versus hue, where I changed the hue manually. I think I'm okay with it. It feels a little cold actually now that I'm looking at it, but I think I'm okay with it. And then here's just trying to wash the room with some tungsten to try to make it look like tungsten light's falling on me. None of it looks good though. Oh, it sucks. I think my best one is actually this one. So we'll turn on the hue versus and we'll do these two guys. So plus minuses. I mean, I don't know. I know I'm not like transparent white. Like I know my skin isn't transparent white, but there's something about having hot dog skin that just gives me the heebie-jeebies. I will say, you know, you can do effects. We'll make these fit. We'll zoom these in a little bit. So if I wanted to, I could do color space. Oops, sorry. My target profile is red dragon log 3G10. It makes it look worse, without question. It makes it look worse. And then if you try to correct for it, so take out some of the magenta. So we'll push some green in. Actually, push green that way. It's not a great situation. Yeah, so I don't like that. We could even do a white balance picker, and I don't think it would help. So we'll white balance off of that guy. Yeah, that did not help. We could even white balance picker off my hat probably. Yeah, gross. So all bad news, all bad. Let's get rid of this. Yeah. bad job me, I guess, is what I'm really at here. I could probably knock down the saturation by just doing that. That I feel like takes quite a bit of the edge off. Yeah, so takeaways. To try to get this footage the way I shot it to color match something like this, even if you don't account for the fact that the lighting environments are totally different, it wouldn't go well. Even if you had all the data of 10 bits or 12 bits or whatever, which this image is 8-bit, so it's not flexible. Even if you had all that extra data, it's so far away that I feel like you'd be chasing gremlins to try to get it close to this. I think you're better off getting this looking as good as can be reasonably expected, and then getting the footage that's a lot more, hardy, the Blackmagic footage, to match to that, because that's kind of that's the rule that I use, is when you're color grading, unless it's something where you're using GoPro footage for like a second or two, and it doesn't really have to be, a scientific level of a match. Stronger camera has to follow the weaker camera. When you're on a hike, when you're on a march, you put the slowest person in the front so that nobody outruns that person. So you take the weak footage, you make the strong footage match the weak footage. The exception being if it's a situation where there's no reason to worry about the colors of the weak footage. So yeah. I don't know. Is this I guess, is this an improvement? I guess it is. We'll do selected clips from where I started, and it's this, right? Selected images. There we go. Selected images. I just don't speak the language, apparently. Is this an improvement over this? I mean, kinda. Yeah. This doesn't shock me. This, I feel like I've got jaundice. So I guess this is the solution, and it's just got to go back to the basics. Either work with your hues and your sats and that kind of thing. And I don't usually like to have that narrow of a field. I usually do this, where I delete and that way it's a broader effect, which honestly didn't hurt it so much when I changed it. But for the sake of what we're doing, I'm okay with it being pretty narrow. Or the color slice, and that's really what it is. Yeah, so I don't know. Normally I wouldn't care that I put out something that looks less than ideal, but I have my limits, I guess. So at least color grading, obviously content wise, haven't found the floor yet. So yeah, anyway. Takeaways: if you have a camera or a system and you're not color grading hard every time, and I'm a colorist and I'm not color grading hard every time, whatever works for you is probably what works for you. And the times when you want to go for it, you just gotta budget your time to do that. And so it was just a mistake. I was comfortable. I was more or less comfortable with the portrait profile in my Panasonic, and I flipped off of that onto natural, specifically because I thought it was going to let me grade it better, and then I didn't really grade it, and this is the result. So also the Blackmagic is just easier to grade. It's also I grade the Blackmagic footage a lot more, so that helps too. But it's definitely a situation where the Blackmagic footage is just a lot more accepting of grading, and I feel like I can get to the look faster than the Panasonic. Even when I'm working with like Panasonic vlog footage from like a better camera, like a GH5 or like an S1 or something, it's still, it does seem like it takes a lot more work than the black magic, and it could just be I've got good black magic muscle memory, but I don't know. So yeah, if would you have noticed if I had brought it up, I guess is the question. Like, share, subscribe. Catch you next time.